The shortened season is not going to deprive us of a no-hitter. Lucas Giolito last night, 9 innings, 13 strikeouts. He was unbelievable. First no-hitter of the season.
We asked why that might be relevant to our little podcast here. First of all, it's a big news story. And second of all, he was high school teammates with our son, Max Fried. So by extension, that makes Lucas Giolito an honorary son of the pod. And we're so proud of you, Lucas. You know, we love to see our son's friends succeed. And he was shoving last night. That was an incredibly dominant performance from start to finish.
That rotation, Lucas Giolito, Max Fried, also Jack Flaherty. Can you imagine sitting in high school class all day and then having to face those guys?
It's just filthy, man. Like, some high schools just luck out and have that kind of talent. I came from Peachtree Ridge High School, which is like a little MLB factory almost. And probably the best alum we have is Jared Walsh, my guy playing for the Angels right now. Dude was a two-way player and just absolutely nasty on the mound and at the dish.
I was lucky enough to play against both Jason Hayward's brother Jacob and Mike Cameron's son Daz Cameron. They were on the same team. Both of those guys are in the minors right now.
So they're playing in the MLB in the minors, and we're sitting here on Zoom talking about it.
I mean, everyone has their place. We're not talking baseball today. These players are hurting, and you can see that in their words and in their actions. The Mets' Dominic Smith crying, breaking down and crying in his post-game press conference. And the onus should not be on him and other black players around the league, around sports. Yes, we want them to speak up. We want them to do all they can, but it shouldn't be them alone. They need their white teammates, their coaches, their GMs and owners who have so much spending power to step up and be alongside them, not just standing, but acting as well.
It made me realize how incredibly unfair it is that when we have issues with race and injustice, we go to these black athletes and ask them to kind of be the voice of wisdom and reason and to provide these insightful answers, and then to right after that go and play their games and entertain us. And it seems incredibly two-sided and disingenuous to ask these black athletes to carry both of those burdens for the sake of their mental health, them to step away from the game and really focus on these injustices. It's the right move, and I hope that it helps wake some people up to the real issues that are happening. I think it's incredibly telling that these white players are really stepping up for their black teammates. It's incredibly encouraging, and hopefully it's a sign of better things to come.
60 games, 6 inches. We're coming to y'all with heavy hearts today after Chadwick Boseman passed away. It was announced yesterday. Of course, the iconic actor played Jackie Robinson in 42, had an incredible performance, and Cam, that was one of just many throughout his very young career.
He played so many black icons. He played James Brown, he played Thurgood Marshall, and then he comes and plays Black Panther, which is one of the most iconic roles of the decade, if not the century. I don't think you can overstate the impact, especially in a time where we're pushing for more representation for minorities, for this guy to emerge as one of the true black superstars in Hollywood. His impact goes well beyond what he did on the screen, and it's just an incredibly devastating. Gets thrown around a lot, but I feel like it applies here in terms of this loss.
The MLB was celebrating Jackie Robinson Day. For Chadwick to pass on that day, it just hits even harder.
Black Panther was such a big deal because for an entire generation of black children, this was the first superhero they were able to see on screen that looked like them. I don't think it's possible to put into words the impact he had on just an entire generation and the American public.
60 games, 6 inches. Welcome in, everyone. Trade deadline coming up Monday afternoon. Cam, you and I both know, pretty much all of Braves country knows, the team needs some starting pitching. Who are some names on your list of possible deals?
Well, so the thing is with this season, what you got to take into account, you don't want to mortgage the farm for a guy that is only going to pitch a handful of starts for you this season. So ideally, you want someone that's under control, but those guys don't come cheap. Big one that jumps out to me is a guy like Dylan Bundy with the Angels, a guy who, needed a change of scenery from Baltimore. He's been really solid this year.
I'm going to give you an Angels and Orioles connection, too. How about Julio Teheran? He's on a 1-year deal. He'd be relatively cheap. The things you know about Julio is he's going to eat innings and he's going to make his starts. That's all you need to know. And then maybe more realistically, if Cam comes back in the frame, Alex Cobb from the Orioles. He had some great years in Tampa Bay. He's had a bounce-back year for Baltimore.
I think what we've seen with pitching prospects is that, hey, it's a crapshoot. So if you have some value, go ahead and trade them for something that works at the MLB level. They've been stockpiling pitching arms for so long. You got to make a trade at some point.
Braves play their first series this year against the Red Sox today, and we are thrilled to welcome our first guest to this show, David Big Papi Ortiz.
First question, it's 2020, the pandemic has all these different sports playing at the same time. What's it like seeing baseball and football and basketball all kind of intertwining here?
Do you like basketball and football, but they too fun and fast? Try baseball. You hit a ball with a stick, and then you run a little bit.
Far departure for the Red Sox in your days. The team's in last place. Where do they go from here?
And then instead of playing baseball, everybody take a big nap. Yeah, the fans were no happy.
Labor Day's coming up this weekend. You have any big plans to have family over for some cookouts at the house?
We all have a big lunch. We're gonna have mofongo, lechon asado, pastelito con bistec, y bandera con papa frita.
Big Papi, thank you so much for the time. We appreciated having you. Enjoy the game tonight.
60 games, 6 inches. Trade deadline has come and gone. Cam, the Braves went with the strategy of we're not going to do anything, and we're just going to wait and see what happens with the rotation now.
I guess we're cool with Robbie Erlin and Tommy Malone and Josh Tomlin just kind of going through another half of the season because I guess it worked for the first half. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it also is kind of broke. I don't know.
I think this signals the Braves are really going all in on Cole Hamels coming back from an injury at some point before the regular season ends. And I think we're going to see Folty back in Atlanta.
Hey, remember how 3 weeks ago they said that Folty wasn't good enough to be a major league pitcher and he was better off in the alternate side? Well, now it's like, hey, we didn't need to make a trade. We've had Folty this whole time. What are you talking about, guys? He added some weight. He's up to 94 again.
So it's really Max Fried and friends right now. We got Ian Anderson, who had a great debut. Probably see some of Bryce Wilson, Folty, Cole Hamels, maybe. And then from there, bullpen guys on bullpen guys.
Here's a stat I feel like is worth mentioning. So we talked about Ian Anderson. That win in his debut is the only win from a Braves starting pitcher not named Max Fried this year.
That sums it up.